everybody. My name is Wendi Sheets. I'm from the Cincinnati, Dayton area with the eXp Realty, of course. I'm an Icon agent here. And I wanted to introduce you to today's subject of the Icon Conversations, and that is coming out of COVID-19 stronger than we were going into it. And I want to introduce each of our Icon agents that are with us today. The first one is Kevin Cooper. Kevin, will you introduce yourself and tell us where you're from, years in the business, and all about you?
Absolutely. My name is Kevin Cooper. I'm in Elk Grove, California, which is just outside of Sacramento. I've been in the business since 2003, so 17 years. And the area I serve is pretty much the greater Sacramento County area. Our niche business is, we work with everybody. We really like investors, and we're able to, help them get a good return on their money relative to the market. And then finally, how many people on our team. We currently have 6 people on our team, and that's myself and my wife are the listing agents. We have an admin, and then we have 3 buyer's agents, 2 full-time, 1 part-time.
Excellent, thanks. And next we have Kelsey Wozniak.
Hey guys, my name is Kelsey Wozniak, and I am in the Northeast Ohio area. I typically focus on the Akron, Ohio, and surrounding areas. I have been in the business for about 4.5 years, and at this point in time, we started our team in January of this year. So about almost 6 months into having a team. And on that team, we have 4 agents and transaction coordinator. And my husband also just joined the team about a little over a month and a half ago. Basically, right when all this COVID stuff started is when he also came onto the team. So it's been a crazy year so far. But we typically focus on both buyers and sellers. As far as kind of a niche in the industry, I feel like one of the biggest things that has been a strong suit for me in my business growing it is the use of social media, the use of marketing and branding in my business, and growing it naturally with my sphere or growing from my past clients in the referral-based business. So that's
awesome. Thank you. And last but certainly not least is Jamie Moreng.
Hey guys, how are you today? My name is Jamie Moreng. We handle northern New Jersey, more specifically Hudson County, Hoboken, New Jersey City, which is right outside of Manhattan. So, we've been here. I've been in the business for about 9 years, 6 years part-time. This will be my 3rd year full-time. So pretty new to the full-time gig, even though I'm a few years in. The niche of my business, I'm really handling anything from, low $200,000, $300,000 condos up to, multi-million-dollar condos here in Hoboken. And also we have an investment market too, which more specifically, we handle multi-families, typically anywhere from a 2-family to 4-family homes here in the area, which provides a good mix, for business as well. It's just me right now. I have a part-time admin, but that's a discussion that I'm having now and trying to strategize of building a team, the next year to come here.
That's awesome. Thanks, Jamie. And again, like I said, my name is Wendi Sheets. I'm from the Cincinnati and Dayton area. It's my husband and I that work full-time together for 23 years now. And before that, I was a hotel general manager. And we have 1 transaction coordinator that takes over from pending to close. And we really believe in profit first. So the first topic we're going to talk about is consumer confidence and how we are going to inspire an upbeat, positive message to the consumer in order to sustain home sales in face of this COVID-19. Because there's been so much negativity in the media, and we want to overcome that with a positive message. So go at it, guys. How are you doing that in your markets?
Oh, I'll go first. That's fine. What we're doing is we're just communicating with our clients. When the COVID hit and we didn't really know what it was going to be, we just kept on doing business as usual. And then we obviously got hit with the shelter-in-place order, and that's time you had to revise your processes. But the messages that we delivered were still the same messages. I mean, I think part of it is us being the local area experts, being very much aware of our numbers. For example, in the short term, we're not seeing much of a change in prices, right? But now we're about 60 days into it, and now I'm starting to see the market's a little bit funky. The same home that would have gone on and sold in a weekend is now might take 2 or 3 weeks, but it's still selling. And I think in our local market, it was such a hyperactive market people really thought you put your house on the market on a Friday, and by Monday you had multiple offers, and many times that was true. But that's never been normal. That's just people in the last few years thought that was their normal. So now, as I see this market leveling out, not crashing, but just leveling out, there's a lot less buyers out there. And so what we're doing, we're just communicating to our clients, letting them know. But even with us, since there's a severe housing shortage in our area, even if you took half the buyers away, there's still plenty of buyers to sell everything that comes to market. So we're just encouraging our clients to really be careful to what they allow. Like I call it your vibrational bubble. Put your vibrational bubble. Don't let bad things in there. Don't sit there and watch toxic TV all day long, looking for the body count to rise. Who died today? Who got infected today? What celebrity had, all that sort of stuff. I just choose not to participate in that. And I choose to go ahead and feed good information myself. And in turn, I give that to my clients. And it's done very well for us. During this pandemic, our business is up 40%.
That's awesome. Jamie or Kelsey? Thank you.
Yeah, I would say that I'm more focused on positivity, right? The past few months have been rough for everyone, people losing jobs, certainly the market being very unpredictable, not knowing where it will be. So looking for the good news is most important for me to relay to my clients. What good news is out there, right? The market took a pause here, but the good news here is that inventory is still down about 52% from last year. So we went from 513 homes on the market, this time last year, and we only have about 240 homes on the market. So in terms of inventory, that's great, right? Keeps prices stable. And then just being realistic, right, with expectations. It might take a little bit longer for properties to sell now because there are less buyers out there. So setting expectations, certainly with the sellers is important to me. But the other good news is that demand has now equated for the 12-week high that we had pre-COVID in early March. We're at the same level of demand as we were in early March, which is awesome news here for us, whether you're a buyer or seller.
And how do you feel that demand? Like, is there a statistic out there or data available to you that you're feeling it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we just purchased, it's pretty cheap, $100 a year, I think, Broker Metrics. So that'll give me data, and I'm really dissecting that information to give buyers and sellers on a weekly basis because everything's changing weekly. And we're not really looking at sold properties because those are properties that were listed, let's say, in February and January, which is an unrealistic viewpoint of where the market is. So I'm really looking at under contract properties per week here, and comparing it to let's say February, March. So I could kind of see where the market's headed, and we're seeing some good patterns.
And that's much better indicator certainly than the number of showings, right? So showing time sometimes sends us some updates saying the volume of showings that are going on, but certainly under contract is much more a better indicator of, are people really writing offers when they have a showing,
100%. Yeah. So the past 2 to 3 weeks have been great here. Obviously not to the height we saw in like February, but pretty close to right now.
Awesome. And Kelsey?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, just going along with what both of them have said, I think that it came down to what our messaging was with our consumers and our clients. I think that for us, the biggest thing was being as proactive as possible through all the changes. So as we saw these things kind of happening, we took a really firm stance of this is how we're going to adapt to these things. And we communicated that, from the very beginning. So there was no question of this is how we're going to handle it. This is how we're going to do things. When it came to how we're going to operate with showings, how can we do it if you're not wanting to leave your house, different things like that. And that was something that I think that, wasn't just all positive messaging necessarily, but it was stable, it was kind of some normalcy in it, or just them feeling like, okay, there is a plan in place. So if we do have to purchase or if we do have to sell, this is how we can do it. And yes, it's different, but we'll still make it work. And just like in both of their markets, we have super low inventory. So I think that's the one thing that just nationwide, I mean, other than certain pockets, I feel like that's been a shortage everywhere. So if anything, it's more normalizing, but for us, we've seen it almost pick up because of the fact that we have low inventory to start with. And then with all of this and less buyers, we have even more supply and demand issues. So for us, it's gotten harder to be a buyer for sure. And that's something that I communicate with all my buyers in the beginning is, look, You're in a very competitive market. The buyers who are buying right now are people who want to buy, who need to buy, you know, not just your looky-loos who are just thinking of it, maybe right now is a good time. Like, they're serious buyers right now. So I think for us, it was just kind of that consistent messaging and making sure that everyone felt like we were, you know, we weren't just looking past it. Because I feel like a lot of times we were seeing, at least locally, and I'm sure, you know, other places as well, we kept seeing the messaging from other agents saying, you know, business as usual, nothing has changed, still out showing houses. Like, that wasn't the case, you know, and for us to say, no, it's not business as usual, you know, things are changing and this is how we're going to do it. Like, basically approaching it and being okay with it. I think we just saw some comfort with that from our people. So
awesome. Have any of you lost clients, like in transit or in contract, or what about you were showing them houses and then all of a sudden they got cold feet and just stopped because they thought maybe they'd lose their job or something?
Well, I had 2 listings that way that typically we'll list them, you know, a couple of weeks before they hit the market and they're preparing. So during that period of them preparing the house for sale, the COVID hit hard. One lady had an immune disorder. And so it makes sense. She's like, we're just gonna have to wait. So, you know, still have the listing, but it's just been put on an indefinite hold. And I have another person, ironically, we thought she was just beyond, how can I say, she was an eccentric client. And, but come to find out, then this COVID-19, and she's like, I was right, see, I was right. So I have 2 of them, they're still gonna sell, it's just a matter of when. So they're under contract, they're not on the market, they're on hold.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, we've had I've had about 4 or 5 million in pending that I lost, you know, right when this all happened, you know, which was a huge hit, you know. However, you know, those buyers are coming back, and certainly the sellers that were there, you know, still are motivated, right? We're working with motivated sellers and buyers. So I think it's just a standpoint of every agent is in the same position. You know, depending on where you are, you know, it could be a little bit better or worse, but I think we all have to look at, you know, the positives that we're all in this together, really. It happened to all of us as agents. So the only thing to do is really to come back and to, you know, whatever worked for us previously, you know, to keep that down pat and keep our, you know, keep our schedules down, you know, to get through this.
Right. Kelsey, did you lose anybody in transaction?
yeah, so mine weren't necessarily in transactions. So we did we were pretty fortunate to not see us losing any of them. But some of our active clients, buyers and sellers, you know, one of my buyers was like, you know what, we're just going to wait until this is all said and done, or we know at least what's going on before we do this. I'm just going to extend my lease and stay where I'm at for another, 6 months. For the most part, ours were delayed. You know, I had a listing that I had just listed, and for us, the $500,000 mark locally is almost at that point in time luxury listing, just based on our average price, price point. And that went on the market literally like a week or two before all this hit. And those typically will stay a little bit longer anyway. And it was one of those things where, okay, not great timing. Let's go ahead and pull this off the market because less showings is not going to help anything in that price point. So we actually just listed it again this past weekend. So that one's back on the market. And we've had a few other listings that just, again, same thing, kind of just delayed a little bit until it felt a little bit more stable. And we had a few more answers as to how things were going to work. And we got to see, how the market reacted to everything. We're seeing that people are still buying, people are still selling, and selling is, depending on the price point you're looking at, it's still a very, very hot market. So we've been pretty fortunate on that.
That's awesome. Great. So second question, how are you approaching leads or consumer inquiries that come to you to secure their business, perhaps maybe differently than you did before? Maybe some processes you have in place that you've changed or done differently for buyers or sellers, just so you don't lose the lead now, because it's almost like making sure that you don't lose a piece of business.
I think for me, I'm like the rest of America, Zoom. I just, I Zoom everything. And now I like it because I'm very efficient use of my time. After this call, I have a Zoom listing appointment. And it's just kind of different. And sometimes what I'm finding is things that you can make people interactive. It's just like, well, I respect your house, and with this whole crazy coronavirus thing, why don't we do this? Why don't we have a Zoom call? That way I don't have to come into your house and expose you to anything. And if you could, maybe we could go ahead and FaceTime. And so they'll FaceTime their house and walk me through it. And they're going to sell me on their house and why it's so great. But that part of involving them, it really is working out well. Then we sit down and I just basically do a very similar presentation to what I normally do. It's just I went from an analog presentation to a digital presentation.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
Yeah, I think
Jamie?
remember. Okay, I'm sorry. From a buyer perspective, right away, I'm ensuring safety and health first and foremost, right? Because different people have different levels of safety that at this time that they want to require. We're working with masks and gloves right now, but just to make sure they're safe in that aspect is very, very important to us. And ensuring the buyers know right away that I'm there to do a virtual tour, there to set up a FaceTime tour. I want to get them into the house right away and get that emotional appeal really quick, right? Even right after I get that lead. So at least they could see the property in 3D, or I could walk them through in FaceTime if I could pre-qualify them. Trying to do a better job at pre-qualifying right now, especially in this market, before I bring them to a property. I would say FaceTime, like Kenny said, the Zoom is certainly something that I've been using as well. To get them, more, activated. So, and the other thing I've implemented over the past 8 months was a CRM. So I'm using a system called Property Base. It's a Salesforce built system. So I've been customizing that over the past 6 to 8 months to really be able to manage high quantities of leads, and to schedule follow-ups in that fashion.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Kelsey?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for me, I feel like the biggest thing that has changed has just been taking it from being in person to virtual. Just like Kevin was saying, I've done the same things as far as listing appointments go, and I found that it is so much more efficient, not just for the sellers, but also for myself. There's so many things that it's just taking the time of driving back and forth that you're cutting out, but it makes it a lot more focused time, on task. There's a lot less of the chit chat back and forth, which was also something that I was nervous of. The relationship isn't building quite as easily that way, but I feel like the trust factor is there because they see that we're doing things differently and we're still, actively pursuing business. As far as buyers though, other than just doing the consultations virtually, there really isn't much that's changed in my process as far as how I secure the lead. One of my biggest focuses over the last couple of years is that I will have every single buyer sign a buyer rep agreement. And that's not something that's up for debate. It's something that if you want to work with myself and my team, this is a commitment that we make to each other. So that was something that I feel like we had already implemented, which is a huge thing for us, just having those conversations at the commitment level. And doing it via Zoom, it's no different than doing it face to face. I feel like it's the same conversations. So that hasn't changed too much. But as far as like the showings and things like that, I think just securing their trust factor and all of it, same thing that Jamie was saying, doing the virtual tours with them, doing the FaceTime walkthroughs, it doubled some of our workload a little bit for, a point in time where I'm going out and I'm showing the property via FaceTime. And then if they really like it, we'll go see it, with masks and gloves on. But at the same time too, it also narrowed down what they were searching for. It was like, we're only going to go see things if you are very serious, if this might be the one, and so it took out some of that other fluff too, because agents started stepping it up on having virtual walkthrough tours and video tours and things that only some of the market was really doing and using. So I think for us locally, that was a huge benefit with all of this, was that all of a sudden the playing field's a little more even, that we're all doing those things that we should have been doing originally anyway. So that was a big change.
Yeah. And I think if you're sitting in an office versus being in a car driving and a lead comes in, you can probably respond to them a lot quicker. And that's what they're looking for, is time on right away to have a response to that lead. So that can be reduced by working out of the office. But what Don and I have also been doing buyer consultations. So we spend about 45 minutes to an hour, very similar to you, getting a buyer loyalty agreement or a buyer agency agreement signed. And then, and we go through the whole process of, buying and what the costs are associated with buying. And we do it all on Zoom and fill their head with information. And then we start, because they might be 3 months down the road, we then start showing them what listings are coming up on a daily basis, just to keep educating them until they're ready to really start looking and they're fully qualified and ready to go. Great. How are you guys leveraging your affiliate relationships through COVID-19? how are they helping you add to your business, get more business, maintain contact with leads, and follow up on past clients, things like that? Any affiliate relationships that you have?
I'll go. So for the affiliates, it's just in general, COVID or non-COVID, they all have to participate in my business. Anyone, as you know, with realtors, we have the butterfly effect. We sell a house and title gets paid, escrow gets paid, lender gets paid, roofer gets paid, home inspector gets paid. There's just, the list goes on and on and on and on. And every time you're doing that, you're helping those people and you're helping their families and their children and everybody else, right? And I expect the same thing. So there's word reciprocity that we hear so much about, but I don't think we always hold people accountable for that reciprocity, whatever that might look. It may be like, for example, with a title and escrow, they're really tough with RESPA. They can do very little, right? But there's really a lot they can do because their reps are out and about talking to people all day long, you know, so they can come back with best practices. They can come back with introductions. You know, there might be an agent that you want to get to know and they can give you a third-party introduction. You know, lenders have less constraints. They can go ahead and they can participate in your marketing program. You know, you can do some co-marketing, obviously RESPA compliant. But my point is really looking at all your resources and having them come on in and do what they're supposed to do. And then of course, those people like your home inspectors are actually going to be in close contact with your clients. You know, they're just saying, hey, you know, I'd say, what are your requirements? Because sometimes when this COVID first hit, a lot of people wouldn't go in. Appraisers weren't going in houses. Some home inspectors weren't going in homes. So trying to find out who would go to the places you need them to go and be comfortable doing it without incurring unnecessary liability. So I think I've had a lot more communication with my affiliates in terms of how we can jointly go ahead and do this, since we all are mutually beneficial in the outcome of selling a house.
That's awesome. Kelsey or Jamie?
Yeah, so in terms of holding, let's say, lenders accountable, like Kevin, that's a great idea. I haven't gotten that deep into it to really hold them accountable to, let's say, manage and handle leads. However, what I've been doing is really promoting vendors, whether it be moving companies, flooring companies I work with, local businesses, restaurants. I'm really trying to get out there in video, you know, social media, whether it be LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and kind of mention their services, you know, and you know, just help promote them at this time, you know, because obviously restaurant wise, everything's shut down here. You could pick up food, but most restaurants that rely on in dining, right, that are not just takeout, I mean, they're getting decimated now. So it's just really important to pick those companies up, local businesses, and you know, the affiliates that I have, the mortgage reps, the attorneys, the inspectors, really to just try to promote them more in video and help promote their business as best I can right now.
Awesome.
That's actually a super similar approach to what myself and our team did, Jamie. As far as like affiliates, I would say for me, we've never gone with that approach of like holding them accountable. And I think that's something that Kevin, you bring up a lot of really good points on that. And I think that they're all on the same page, that obviously they want to keep our business and they want to keep, you know, supporting our business too. So it's probably just a matter of sitting down and brainstorming, what does that look like, you know, and they'd be willing to do it. But no, I think that's great. I think for me, two parts of that. The first part is really leaning on the affiliates that I do trust. You know, we have the ones that we built relationships with before. And I think that during all of this, it has been more important than ever to make sure that our clients are using the people that we know for a fact are going to take care of them. But aside from just the communication level and everything else, it's also, you know, my title company being huge on, are we able to do e-filings? What happens if we can't, you know, file with the county if the county shuts down? What things are we putting in place? How are we operating when we're in a stay-home order and you can't be in the office, but you have to do the signing for a closing? Just all those things that make such an impact on the whole transaction that, you know, our clients don't think about, but we are on top of that. And I think one thing that I did lean on was I did some Zoom interviews with my affiliates in the beginning, basically just, again, consumer confidence, knowing that they have a plan in place for these things. So that was something I did lean on for them. And that was a really great resource to have that and have those people who were willing to do that. But it's almost easier for me to say like, hey, like, here's my list of people and you can use whoever you want, you know, absolutely. I'm not going to steer you in one direction or another, but I'm telling you, these are the people I know will get it done when everything in the world is literally upside down and everything is crazy. these are the people who I know that if there's a problem will get resolved, you know. But aside from that, like we did the same thing, Jamie, as far as really, I think we went with try to support other businesses as well, and try to just help as much as we could, because I felt like, you know, we were fortunate that real estate was essential. And in our area, it changed things for sure. We still had the stay-home orders, so a lot of times like our clients wouldn't come with us and things like that, but it still was considered essential. And you had a lot of other businesses and just like you said, restaurants that were getting hit so much harder. And so we did a local business giveaway with our team and did like a huge contest with it. And we ended up getting 22 gift cards for local restaurants and businesses, sponsored and, you know, provided through the team and then through our affiliates. We leaned on them to say, hey, which one do you want to sponsor? We're doing local only, you know, small business. We're not looking for the chains. Who do you want to sponsor? And being anywhere between $25 and $50 per place. And then we got our community involved. And that was something that was really, you know, it didn't necessarily feed us more business, but it was something that we felt like it mattered, you know. So that was something where we got our affiliates involved with it, plus the team, plus our community as well.
And did you promote that on Facebook, or how did you get that out there too? And it was your clients, or was it the whole community?
We did it with our team Facebook, and then all the agents on the team shared it to their Facebooks. So it ended up being kind of something that went a little bit more viral that way. But we're probably going to do it another time and get our local newspapers involved and things like that to try to get some more traction behind it as well. We were trying to just get it on, get it done, and get it going the first time, and figure it out as we went. And then this time around, I mean, honestly, I think it's a great thing to do anytime, you know, like supporting our local businesses. So it was just kind of we realized we enjoy doing this, and it means something to our community. So I'm going to keep doing it.
That's awesome. And coming out of COVID and ramping back up again, is anybody maybe using a different kind of affiliate? I think one of the things that comes to my mind is, like, for instance, if I started listing a house 2 months ago and then they paused because of the COVID thing, the timeline to prepping a house became so much longer. And the conversations I'm having, it's almost building a stronger relationship than I had before, because now I'm really getting to know these people personally. And they're not shy about contacting us 2 and 3 times a week, you know, to ask you, what color should I paint this wall? Or what color should I paint the mailbox? You know, it's become very, very hands-on. And I actually really like that. It's actually made me feel really good about the advice I can lend people that before was a little bit more shortcut. It was a walk through your house once, give an assessment, give them a checklist, send them an email, and then leave them to do the checklist. And now it's just so much more relational. And I wondered if any of you had experienced that as well.
Yeah, totally, Wendy. We here I've noticed that a lot of people have left town, right? Schools are out, especially families. They've either retreated to their families' homes in the suburbs, or, you know, they've rented a place, you know, upstate. So I feel like from a contractor standpoint, you know, I'm there to manage their property here while they're away, right? Whether that's pre-market prep, you know, giving them checklists, like you said, going to the property, see if we need to stage the property, you know, see what works, see what doesn't. Be there to say, hey, listen, I could help lift the load if you need me to, right? So yeah. Almost there in a deeper way now, because there may not be in the city. So I want to be that resource for them that they can rely upon, you know, to get that process started, right? Once they do decide to list, or, you know, to meet their timeline and their goals.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. So wrapping it up kind of, what have you learned or done differently in COVID-19 that you'll implement in your business or continue to utilize to help you become stronger, a better agent in the upcoming months and in your career? What would you do differently with purchasers, sellers, past clients? Any thoughts?
I think, without a doubt, I'll continue using the tech piece, the Zoom calls, digital listing presentations. Those things are really good, because depending on who you're talking to, I mean, I just think I've been in the business for a little while, and, you know, my listing presentation would literally, let me pull out my portfolio, and I'm literally opening up a portfolio, which resonates with a certain population, right? A certain demographic. Now, if I do that with a millennial, they're like, what the heck is that, dude? Where's your laptop? Why aren't you swiping, right? So it was just good to have that. So now I have an extra tool in my belt. So if I look at it and I'm going to go talk to a couple and they're 65 years old, I'm going to bring my portfolio. I'm going to bring where they can feel it and touch it and see it, right? If I'm talking to someone who's 25, I'll never bring that out again. You know, at least now I have an option to do that. Whereas before it was like, hey, here's my portfolio. Don't you think this is great?
Yeah, I think that's good. And also, in talking about that with listings, I think I've learned that what I've felt is that we need to really uncover the emotional piece of what they're feeling. And it's easy to feel that presence right now because everybody's unsure, but I wasn't really taking time to stop and think about how stressful it is for those homeowners through the entire process. And now I've felt it because the process has slowed down and you get a call about this fear or that fear or this uncertainty or that uncertainty. And it's made me recognize that because of my personality type, I need to dial that back. I need to address that fear, uncover that fear, and help them move forward so that they can get the job done with my expertise. It's just, I wasn't like feeling the emotional piece before. Now I'm feeling it more. Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah. Jamie, anything you do different in the
future? I think like Kevin said, the Zoom is here to stay. I mean, that's going to be part of my business going forward. Did like maybe 8 or 9 listing and presentations in April and May just on Zoom. So I'm getting used to that feel, you know, where it's something new for me. So I think that's a good time saver, right? And we could connect just as well, you know, over the Zoom calls. Also to Matterport 3D, Zillow 3D. If it's adding value to my clients, I'll add that. You know, we do the photo video now, but you know, I'm thinking about just adding that permanently to the marketing for my clients, especially at this time. You know, and who knows how long, you know, buyers will feel, you know, a little bit uncomfortable going in person to home. So I'm going to keep that 3D aspect of marketing as well to help sellers.
Yeah. Are any of you doing the coming soon or have a strategy behind coming soon that really adds to your business?
I do.
Yeah.
I've actually used coming soon ever since it came to our MLS. Was it 2 years ago? And I mean, I feel like there's a lot of people who abuse it, but I also feel like it's a really, really great tool for our sellers. And I've actually seen the change with that in COVID. So we've adapted a little bit from a coming soon. We typically used to do a coming soon on a Wednesday, and we would activate the listing on a Friday, and then we would do our open houses on Sundays. And what happened was we'd get as much exposure as possible in that first 5-day window. But we'd also start to get some showings scheduled on Fridays before you even hit the market, which was always great. Well, as this all has changed, we're not doing open houses. We do, if it gets to that point, we do virtual open houses. So we do a 30-minute Facebook Live walkthrough tour and we schedule it so people can tune in for that. And we do put that on our MLS. But even then, it's like with how crazy the market's been and everything, it's something that we usually don't even get to that point on the weekend. So we've actually adapted and pushed our coming soon forward a little bit whenever we can. And for us, like if we can do coming soon on Monday or Tuesday and then activate it on Thursday or Friday, it's been huge for us because we have 3 or 4 days of marketing the property. And I make sure that we have all the pictures, video, everything is up, all the information is up. To me, nothing is worse than having a no photo coming soon listing. You know, like
I know.
Hurting the marketing. So we do that. And in the last, of my last 3 listings during COVID, 2 out of 3 of them got multiple offers sight unseen in coming soon status. No walkthrough of the property, but I had the video up and I had the Matterport and I had all those things. And both of those over asking price. And the other one, we had, I think, 25 showings scheduled before it even hit the market. And for my sellers, I think that's something where I'm like, look, we're trying to limit the amount of time of people in your home.
Right.
So this is the best way of doing this to where we can actually be proactive with it and try to get people to know that it's coming on the market. So they're not scrambling and trying to figure out their schedules. And then ends up taking 3 days for people to get in the house. They already know 4 days ahead of time what's happening. So they're going to make their changes and make sure they can get there the first day. So it's been a huge asset for our business for sure. And that's something that, you know, we've just quickly pivoted with the timing of it too. You know, I used to say, don't do it on Monday because then it sits there for 5 days, you know, want it to be fresh. Well, now it's like, let it be there for a few days and watch the, you know, the showings and stuff roll in. So, that's something that we've done. And as far as, changes too, just on things that I want to make sure that they stay in place after all of this, similar to what they said, Zoom, definitely 100%. I think that I personally probably won't do buyer consultations any other way unless it's just, we're out seeing houses, so we're going to do the consultation the same day kind of a thing. But just for convenience for our clients, I feel like it's amazing. And at this point in time, it's not crazy for us to say, let's have our consultation via Zoom, because it's so much more well known at this point. But I also think that it has forced, at least myself, to slow down a little bit, like what you were saying, Wendi. The interesting just piece of it for me is that I'm also 23 weeks pregnant. So it was also an adjustment of trying to figure out how to adapt to all this for myself too, of being, keeping myself safe, So I didn't do in-person showings for the first month, and I really leaned on my team, and I had a process set up that I really wasn't planning on doing it for another few months for once the baby came, and it's forced me to do that sooner. And it's something that I'm like, this works really, really well. And I have team members who are doing an amazing job with it. And my clients are happier. Like, they're honestly raving fans at this point. Like, your team is amazing, and it's taking it off of me just being the only agent, but there's more supported. And so that's something that was just kind of wow, I didn't expect that to happen this soon, but it's really been a blessing in disguise. And I think just slowing down and realizing that we don't have to rush and react to every single thing that we do, that we can be more calculated in this business, and we can also, have more of a daily routine. I think that's something that when we are busy, all of us are icon agents, so we all do a good amount of business. It's easy to just be from one test to the next, to the next, to the next, until the end of the year, and realizing that it's like, okay, we have to take time to slow down and work on our business and be a part of it with our clients and everything. So that's something that I hope, it's kind of given us sight of it. My husband and I working together has been a huge change for us. So all of that, it's like, let's make sure that we don't lose, focus on those things again. And that family time is important, and it does matter, and your clients do respect it. And if they don't, then they may not be your clients, So I think that that's been a big thing, is just realizing that, we can slow down. So,
yeah. And we can work smarter rather than harder, I guess.
Yeah. Huge.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And one of the things I meant to ask you, are any of you using SlideShare, or sharing your screen and putting presentations in front of you while you're meeting with buyers or sellers?
Like screen share,
screen sharing
stuff. Yeah. I use it every time, buyer consultations and listing presentations, or what Kevin was saying, he does too. And it looks super professional, I think. So it's great.
It really works. And for me, I'm so old school. You guys are probably kill it on your phones and your laptops. I got a desktop. I got 2 big old monitors, right? This is my comfort zone. This is coming to my den. And so by sharing my screen, I'm so in my element, right? It's unbelievable. So I'm so comfortable sitting here that here, can you see this on my screen? Here, let me run some comps for you. And you're doing it, and they're actually feeling they're part of the process. Because, when you're at Command Central, you can, for whatever reason, you're just a little bit more confident, a little bit more at ease, because I know where everything is. I can have multiple windows open up, and the phone's great, don't get me wrong, but man, I'll kill it at my desk. And
I love that part of it, like showing them comps, live comps, you're literally going through, a CMA or whatever it is with them, like during a listing appointment. That's amazing.
Yeah. And there are things we can search for in our MLSs that they can't search for in Realtor.com or Zillow. And we can show them, sometimes you think you're all that because you text me a listing you want to see from Realtor.com. And I can tell you right now that the fields don't match. When we upload from MLS to Realtor.com, I have to go in and fix it, because like, if you only want a gas furnace and not electric heat pump heat, I can search for that in MLS, but you can't. So showing them, why we're paid what we're paid, and the point of difference, if you will, because we actually go further in our searches than they can go.
And that's one thing, to add to that, if I could, I always tell them, I say, you know what, I pay a lot of money for the Metro List. If I didn't have to, I wouldn't. And I just say the Metro List is the genesis for it all. So I know you love Zillow.com. I know you love Redfin. I know that their user interfaces are much better than Metro List. I will concede that to you. But nonetheless, you're going right to the source. You're cutting out the middleman. Please don't look at those. Look at mine. Mine's the good stuff. Mine's the Glengarry leads. If you pick that one up. right? Remember, was it, God, it was a movie. Anyhow, but they have the good leads, the good source. If you get them drinking from your well and not from somebody else's, and pretty soon, even though some of them give them a better user interface, if you convince them that this is where they're going to get the best information, then they get hooked on it. The one thing I don't know about on your Metro list, there's one button you can check where you allow your clients where they can make their own searches. Be careful of that, because that can drive you crazy. If your client's telling you they want one thing, and then they keep on throwing these other houses, like, that's not the same as what you said. So I do not allow them the opportunity to create their own searches. They got to go through Big Daddy.
Right. And I think that's one reason I think that Coming Soon has really helped us in this COVID-19. In our multiple listing system, you're allowed to come have that status for 20 days. And I think that's
Wow.
crazy. I would never, that would be driving me crazy, because I'd be getting so many calls from other agents about the house. So I kind of do it like Kelsey does, within the same week. But what I see is that there's so much noise going out to these consumers right now that we actually have to give them the information, or they don't get the chance to compete for this house, right? If I don't put it Coming Soon 2 or 3 days beforehand, and I watched this because I did this past week, and I posted it on neighborhoods that the house was in, groups on Facebook, and I saw people being tagged in them, like somebody knew somebody was looking to buy a house, so they tagged their friend, and then I could private message that friend and say, hey, can I send you an MLS sheet with all the room sizes on it? You know, so it was building those relationships. And I'll tell you, 90% of the time they're working with a realtor. That's great. But the thing is, if their realtor isn't giving them immediate access to new listings, they may have totally missed out on this listing. So I want to get it out there so my seller gets more offers and more interest. And we feel like we've exhausted the market, if you will, that first 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah, I wish we had that. We don't have that in our MLS. And it's something I'll be, when I hang up here today, I'm going to be checking into it. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, you just got to be careful, because some agents are abusing it. And, you know, they'll say, you know, some of the criticism of it is that we as listing agents want to get more leads, more buyer leads. That's not true. I want to sell the house at the highest price possible for my sellers. And I want to make sure that the most qualified buyers have seen it. And I had that out there 2 or 3 days, and only one private Facebook message saying, tell me more about the house. My in-laws are looking to move to this area. And that's maybe one I could have converted, but no, I've got the whole day filled with showings today. So I'm happy about that.
Wow. Yeah. Because with ours, as soon as you do any advertising, days on market start rolling. So with that Coming Soon, your days on market are not rolling?
No, they're not. They don't start till it turns active at midnight.
Wendy, is that
go ahead, I'm sorry.
Wendy, is that Coming Soon through your MLS, or
Yes.
you manually putting that through Zillow?
It's coming through MLS. It is not uploaded to Zillow. It's only through, so the only place that a consumer can see it is if their agent has enrolled them as a prospect in the MLS and checked the right button for Coming Soon.
Got it.
Ours is not like that, actually. Ours does generate to Zillow and Realtor.com. We do have Coming Soon on there, and it generates from that. And our MLS also starts to count the days on market from that first day of Coming Soon status. So basically for ours, we have 24 hours to, if we start marketing property, it has to be on the MLS. Right. And they consider that a Coming Soon listing is considered on the MLS because of all the data that you have to put onto it. So.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, because we've already finessed it, and you would just, people will list it, you know, on the market, but no showings until this date, and that just pisses everybody off.
That's right.
Buyers, you know, that's a huge thing for us, is that, I mean, if you abuse that one time and you show it when it's in Coming Soon status, like, that is a huge fine and slap on the wrist, and probably worse, for all I know. So,
right. And people will test you. They'll call you and say, hey, can I get in the house before the Friday?
Okay. And I'm like, I'm sorry. No, you know the answer to this. Don't ask me.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's like asking mom and dad. I'll ask mom. She says no, I'll ask dad. No.
Yeah. And then we had agents before that were taking the listing, but putting the sign in the yard and then waiting the 72 hours and seeing if anybody would call off the sign before they actually had to put it active. So now they have no marketing at all if you have a sign in the yard. So we kind of buckled down on that. But I do think, you know, that's my point in this whole COVID thing. As soon as everybody went indoors, the internet hits went up, like the people searching went up, but the lead generation didn't correspond with that. So there's so much noise out there. And that's one thing that has changed for me in my presentation to buyers, if you will, is buyer consultations, is let me sort through all of that noise for you. Let me go find the houses for you and make sure you see them the instantaneously the minute they're listed, because we know there's a lag between realtor.com and Zillow.com when it uploads, and that information isn't always accurate. But the moment something comes on the market here, you're going to get an email from me, and chances are I'm going to see the email first and I'm going to text it to you. So it's just being on the spot and getting them out to the houses as soon as possible. Yeah. Great. Any other ideas or commentary on COVID-19 and how you plan on moving forward out of this and into your business?
I think is being fearless, smart, don't get me wrong, but fearless, just going forward and being assertive and just letting people know that homes are still selling. There's still people getting promoted. There's still people getting demoted. They're having births, deaths, and they're getting, marriages and divorces, right? People have a need to move. And so as long as, you use your analogy, it's like, hey, you know what? It's a minefield out there, and you want someone like me who can walk you safely across without blowing your foot off. So, hitch your wagon to me, let's go get you a house. And, and literally, I think they just want that confidence. Whatever you're saying it with confidence, and just making sure, obviously, you're not making promises you can't deliver. But, we know what the market looks like far better than our clients do, even though they're so smart, because what they can get from social media, they don't have the relationships that we have. They can't call up, Wendi and just get the bottom line. Hey, Wendi, where are we at? Where do we need to be? I can't call up Kelsey and just say, hey, Kelsey, my client just saw the house. What do you think? That's what all the other data aggregators can't do. They can't get that personal touch. They don't have the relationships we have. And as long as we make sure that we know our value proposition and we can articulate it closely to our clients, then we'll forever have a very fruitful business.
Well said.
Yeah, I would say just what's worked in your business previously, right? Double down on what's worked for, to build your business up to where it's been, right? I think if we could focus on that and avoid all the distractions, avoid all the TV, avoid all those distractions that we see out there that are pulling us in directions, we're going to be successful. So stay true to what's worked, and slowly add pieces over time. The Zoom call is great to add, I feel like, but really stay true to what's ultimately worked for you.
Very nice. Kelsey,
Yeah,
any words?
I would agree with that. I think the same thing, just taking what you've been doing in your business that works really well and just turning up the volume with that and getting hyper-focused with it. I think the other thing too is just being human. I think that there's so many people who, make it so transactional in this business. And while that's great, in some parts of the business you need that, I think that at the end of the day, when things like this happen, like Wendi, you were saying, just going through the emotions with your client, I think that that's something that I've also seen, and kind of just, came back to that same realization of, they're struggling with things. And sometimes, you have clients or your sphere, your friends, your family that are going through things that, while it may not ever turn into business, we are the professionals in the marketplace, and we need to be showing them that we care, and that at the end of the day, we're not just in this just for the money, that we actually do want to support them and their families. I think that's a huge thing for us. So
great. Well, thank you all for being on the call today, and I hope our audience, whoever views this, gets some good tidbits that they can pull out into their business. And we'll wrap up the comments on the Zoom call. In the discussion, we'll put our contact. So if you want to contact, Kevin or Kelsey or Jamie, there'll be some information there that you can do that. But thank you for all of you for discussing this today. I wish you the best in your business this year.
Yeah, it was great to talk real estate. Stay safe and healthy.
Yeah. Thanks, Jamie. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Take care.
Thank you.